And then a history teacher gave me a copy. He was one of these like 30-year teachers who still use the same, mimeograph type quizzes and this and that. Well, he handed me this thing he wanted the students to read and take a little quiz on, and it was about some battle about the River Raisin and something like that. And he had thought he was doing a service by blacking out anything that he thought might be derogatory to Indians. Well, the whole thing was like practically redacted. I mean, there were like all these, and it became like a little guessing game of which bad word about the Indian warriors or the Indian fight, these savages and the horrible things that they did to these, good soldiers. And it would be like blacked out, so you try to guess, what word was that? And he handed it to me and he said, well, I'd like your approval on, this. I just wanted you to look over it and let me know what you think. I think I've cleared up all the negative parts of it. And I was just like, that you would even think that and I said, I'm really offended by this. And I just think it's going to be a guessing game for students to figure out which bad word about Indians would fit best in that blank. And he said, history's always been told from the point of view of the victor. I don't know why Indians should be surprised about that. And I thought, but this is a school. I thought we were supposed to educate about, both sides or more than just one point of view. Or anyway, so by the end of that year, I just had done a total 180 about how I looked at public schools and what battles our students face when they walk through those doors and when that door is held open and they're encouraged to walk out. When I worked for the Saginaw Chippewa tribe, I was so fortunate that I had some strong Indian women who took me under their guidance and taught me a lot of things. Wilma Henry was one, Charmaine Benz, Bonnie Ekdahl, Audrey Falcon. These were women who taught me a lot about the culture and taught me a lot about being a strong Anishinaabe, a strong Indian woman. And so I always try to pay that forward. And with Bonnie, she talked about our job was to help our students have strong shoulders so that when they entered those public school doors, that they could withstand all of the things that they had to endure and be able to go out in the world and do what they needed to do. And she talked about her life as like there was this huge glacier and she was one person with a pickaxe and she just kept chipping away, and that's how she likened her everyday struggles and the everyday battles that she had to fight. And who knows, one of those times you may just hit at the right stress point or pressure point and more will collapse from that glacier than what you thought. Well, fast forward now, I'm the education director for my tribe. And my tribe focuses our education on three main areas. Early childhood, we have a model Head Start, Early Head Start program. And K through 12 services. We service a 7-county service area in the Upper Peninsula. And then higher education, adult ed, and elder enrichment programs. Well, with K-12, what we find, a lot of my time is spent working with schools to say, I will not be your costume Indian. I will not entertain you. I will educate you. So when you call me and you ask for someone to come and tell Indian stories and to dress up, I will let you know why that's not appropriate. And if you are interested in learning about the culture, some things that you can take on yourself to learn about tribal communities. With higher education, our tribe has an enrollment of about 38,000 members. We're the largest tribe in Michigan, and our enrollment is based on descendancy. So not all of our enrolled tribal members are eligible for the tuition waiver and other types of financial and other aid that's based on blood quantum. So we do intervene a lot. A lot of my time is spent on the tuition waiver. For those of you who don't know, in 1976, it was passed, the tuition waiver. You had to be 1/2 Native American blood quantum, attending school full-time, part-time, or summer school, and be a Michigan resident. In 1978, it was amended that you had to be 1/4 blood quantum. Well, now we find schools want to impose certain additional criteria with the tuition waiver. They'd like to limit the number of credit hours a person can receive. Sometimes, some schools do this. A student will get a letter and they'll say, well, I was told that I'm at like 120 credit hours, and they said that, you know, my tuition waiver is not going to cover anything more. I should have gotten my degree by now, and so they're saying it's all done. Or one school said, well, we only get funding from the state to fund about 36 students full-time. So if you happen to be that 37th student that applies and wants to get the tuition waiver, you're out of luck. We've also had some schools that say it's good for 1 degree. That's it. And we've had many schools who say you must be in a degree-seeking you must be a degree-seeking status. So if you are enrolling in classes and you haven't declared a major, or you haven't been admitted to a degree program, the tuition waiver won't cover that. And lastly is the satisfactory academic progress. Some schools say if you're not making satisfactory academic progress, you're no longer eligible for any financial aid. And they include the tuition waiver as financial aid, and it is not financial aid. If a student does not meet the academic requirements of the university, they should be put on probation, or they should be kicked out. That's the university's decision. If they are still allowed to enroll for classes on a probationary status, they are still to receive that tuition waiver. I'll get back to a little bit more about the tuition waiver. With Sioux Tribe, what I do is I try to educate our many college students about the number of scholarships and internship opportunities that are out there that they can make available to themselves. Sioux Tribe gives about $1 million a year in financial assistance to our higher ed students. However, when you have a tribal membership of 38,000, $1 million doesn't go very far. As a matter of fact, we fund about 250 students on a need-based grant that gives students about $400 each semester. And we give about 1,000 students, we give $500 at the end of the semester once they turn their grades in, and that's called our self-sufficiency award. And that's not need-based. And then we give about 20 scholarships that are named after tribal members and other people who have contributed to the tribe, and our memorial and tributary scholarships, and those are in about $1,000 each, and we give about 20 of those a year. So we know that this is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to our students' financial need. So our office tries to educate students about internships, about other scholarships. We have students who try for internships with federal agencies in Washington, D.C. And so if we have our, I'll draft a letter for our chairperson, a letter of recommendation, things like that, that'll help our students. As a tribal education director, Michigan, our 12 federally recognized tribes, the education directors meet on a quarterly basis. And we meet every 3 months to discuss what common issues our students are facing, what projects we could work on together, where we need to put more, spend more effort, and tuition waiver is always on the agenda. But you learn about how other tribes do their higher ed programs. Some will give money based on per credit hour to their students. Some, for example, Lac View Desert, they pay all unmet need. So based on what the financial aid office reports back to the tribe, the tribe covers 100% of their unmet need.